Right. Super. Welcome, everyone. I'm just having a look in the chat to see which countries everyone is tuning in from. I see a lot of people from South Africa, from London, Norway, Toronto, Hungary, Finland, Mauritius, UK again, UK, Vienna, Austria. Wow, that's amazing. We've got people from all around the world. Colombia in the house, Melbourne, Australia. Wow, it's very, I don't know, do I say late or early hours of the morning there? When I'm looking this way, it's just because I'm looking on my second system, looking at the chat going on, because when I have it on the same laptop, we're hearing my voice twice. So I want to make sure you get the best possible way. Now, look, today we're here to talk about how you can really get your business off the ground. And I want to share, I don't normally do slides. Most people know me. I do not normally do slides, but I had some slides put together for this, 2 simple slides, just to make sure as part of this Learn to Earn series that we're launching, I want to give people a full background. You see, there's people of different categories here. There's people who's totally new to the crypto industry. There's people who's totally new to the network marketing industry. And then we have people with a little bit of experience. And I know we have some incredible top leaders with a lot of experience here. And we would love for you to share your views, share your ideas on the chat, because we know many of you have incredible experience, incredible success in this industry. Make sure we're about to start. Go ahead and share this link to your team. Make sure everyone is on so that we can get this started. Now, first and foremost, I made a slide just so that something I learned recently, a saying that says, note takers are money makers. I'm gonna say this again. Note takers are money makers. I heard this very recently, and I think it's incredible. It's spot on. So I wanted to make a slide so that you can take some notes. Here is what you see in front of you is, for me, in network marketing, the 7 simple steps to success. Now, success is never guaranteed, but you can predict your success, or at least your level of success, if you follow these steps. The first thing everyone has to do is finding prospect. You need to make a list of people. That should be a list of absolutely everyone you've ever spoken to in your whole life. And I always talk about this. I always say, you know, I would never, ever tell anyone what to do. I can only tell you what I do, what I did to reach where I am today. And it started with making a list. And I'm just pulling my notebook here because, like I said, it's all about making a list. I'm never going to tell you what to do. I will tell you what I did. There's pages and pages of people on here. Some people like to say, well, I've got it on my phone. I've got a list on my phone. I've got it in my mind here. It doesn't work like that. It's all about making a list on paper. Step 2 is inviting those people to come and watch the presentation. On inviting, I have a rule. I will either invite someone, that means I do not tell them anything about the business because I believe there's presenters that can do a better job for me. Or if I tell them, I will never tell them a little bit. I will tell them 100%. Because no decision, no right decision is ever made on 20% or 30% of the information, of the facts. I think we all agree here. Step 3 is presenting. In this industry, it's beautiful that you don't need to be a presenter to have success. You don't need to be good with talking to people. You don't need to be good with presenting on camera, off camera, or in front of a crowd, because there's always people available to do the presentation for you. Step 4 is the following up. And today, our focus is going to be on step 4 and 5 combined, the following up and closing. The money is in the follow-up. Step 6 is getting people started effectively. But if you do step 1 to 5 in the correct way, step 6 becomes easy because now you already know what to do. It's easy to guide someone else to do what you've done yourself. And step 7 is always promoting events, promoting webinars, getting people to be plugged in. For me, step 6 and 7 is combine what I call duplication. Now I'm running through these because we want to focus. I'm going to touch base on inviting, and then I want to focus on the follow-up and closing with objection handling. But the next thing I want to do is I will then open it up. I want to open this up so that people can type it in the chat, the kind of objection they get, so that we can help you. We can give you some ideas of what we do, what we've done, and hopefully bring value to your business. Let's talk a little bit about inviting. I mean, I think everyone can make a list. The simple rule of making a list is everyone you've ever spoken to should be on that list. Do not judge people, do not decide for people. Simple as. When it comes to inviting, just make sure this. Here, I'm going to give you a few ways of inviting. When I make my list, I categorize my people. I categorize the type of people they are. Because here's the thing. If I go to a friend of mine who we normally go out to have a drink once in a while, grab a beer, grab a soft drink, whatever it may be, compared to someone who I do business with, who owns multiple business, who's a multimillionaire, I cannot invite them in the same way. Now, we all know, I just want to, I'm keeping an eye on the chat, making sure the stream is working perfectly well. We all know one thing. We all know Daisy in 4.5 days of test launch did some incredible results. So if I was going to someone who owns multiple businesses, who has a turnover of millions, well, here's my approach. Let's say I've got someone called, I'm going to pick a name here. I see Leon. I see someone called Leon Larkin on the group here. You asking for a link, Leon? You're on YouTube. There's a button next to the like that says share. And in fact, make sure every single one of you like and subscribe to this video so that we can get this out easier to all our team. But also you can click the share button. It'll give you a link and you can send that link via Facebook, via WhatsApp, via message, whichever way you prefer. So I'm going to use Leon here. Anytime I invite someone, the first part is important. Don't just call someone and start inviting them and talking about your business. Call someone and have the usual conversation you would normally have with them. One word to always bear in mind, and write this down: edification. At every opportunity you get, always edify your business. You joined the business because you are 100% believer in this business. That belief, that emotion needs to convey to the person you're inviting. So I would, let's say, I've called Leon, who's a business person who owns multiple businesses. So I'll call Leon. I'll have the regular chat I have with him. And then I pop the question. Now, this question is always the same with everyone. I'm going to say, hey, Leon, let me ask you this. Do you have a minute right now where you're totally free? You're not distracted whatsoever? And if Leon goes to me, well, yeah, I'm free. I'm just doing some accounts at the moment. I go to Leon, no, Leon, I need you a minute or two for when you have no distraction because I need your undivided attention. That I say to anyone, no matter what kind of status they are. Now, Leon said, yeah, okay, I'm totally free. I'm all yours. And Leon is a business person. Well, here's my invite. I'm like, Leon, let me ask you this. There's this new company, which I think we are at the right place at the right time, where they just did over $50 million in turnover in their first 4 days. And they're about to have their grand launch. They did that in their beta launch. and they are aiming to become a billion-dollar company within their first 6 months. Would you be interested to look at the possibility of grabbing a percentage of that? You see, Leon is a business person. Leon deals with millions. If I go to Leon and say, hey, would you like to make some money on the side? He ain't gonna stick. Leon's gonna say, I don't think it's worth my while. Now, when I talk about a company who did 50 million in their first 4 days in the beta launch, they're about to become a billion-dollar company as their target in the first 6 months. And we have an opportunity before they launch to take a look at it. Now he's open to listening, to hearing more. But hey, if this was just my normal friend, my normal family, who's not a multimillionaire or businessman who deals in millions, well, my invite is always very simple. Many of you are familiar with it, but I will repeat it and then we'll move to the key part of why we're here today. My invite process is like this. So now let's pick a different name. I've got Jitin, all right? If I call Jitin, and Jitin is a friend, I have the usual conversation with him. Normally, maybe me and Jitin talk about the family, about work, about business, about COVID, about football, whatever it may be. For the ladies, about Gucci handbags, makeup, hairdo, spa day, whatever it may be. And then I pop the same question. I'm like, Jitin, let me ask you this. There's something very important that I wanted to discuss with you. Do you have a couple of minutes where you're totally free and I can have your undivided attention? Same. If Jitin goes, well, yeah, I'm just keeping an eye on my 4-year-old. I'm like, no, Jitin, I cannot talk to you when you have a distraction. Let me know what time I can call you later where I can get a couple of minutes of your time totally undivided. Some of you may be wondering, why do we do that? Well, Jitin is someone I normally talk to all the time. It doesn't matter if he's got his kids. Now, when I tell him I need his undivided attention to that level, guess what? He already subconsciously understands it's something serious. It's something important because it is for me. I have to make sure I transfer that belief into Jitin. I transfer that belief into him understanding that what I'm about to share with him or talk to him about, for me, it's ultimately important. Very, very important. And once I have his undivided attention, it's always the same question because 90% of the people will answer yes to that question. Jitin, if I found a way to possibly make some income on the side, would you like to know about it? Let me repeat that. Jitin, if I potentially found a way to make some additional income, additional money on the side, would you like to know about it? 90% of people say yes. 90% of people say yes. Hey, if I have someone in my circle who said no, they're not interested to make more money, I would like to believe that I will take them off my phone list because I want to surround myself with winners. I want to surround myself with people with the right mindset, the right mentality, winning mentality, progress mentality, always open to opportunities mentality, learning mentality. For me, that's ultimately important. Now, I invite them to coming to see a presentation. I'm not going to go into more depth with inviting. There are videos on YouTube, on this channel that we've done regarding inviting. When they come to a presentation, the responsibility is for the presenter to do their presentation, to do their job. But you have one more responsibility, which is step 4 and 5 on your screen, which is called the following up and the closing. I'm putting that together because that's where you're going to encounter objection. And today's call is primarily about handling objection. So before I take this screen off, please make sure if you haven't written those 7 steps, write them down. If you've written those down, give me a number 1 in the chat, please. I want to see, I said note takers or money makers. I want to see how many people are actually serious here about making money. And here's what I'm going to share with you. It's funny that most people say they want to make money. Most people have a dream, but most people do not take the required action to receive the reaction of their dream. Here's what I mean. Right? I am seeing the ones coming in. Keep it coming. I want to see how many of you are committed. Here's what I mean. And I'm going to share this with you. And I know you're going to agree. Not just you, look around you. Yeah. Most people in the world have dreams. Let's take one of the materialistic dreams. You know, people love a great house, extra bedrooms that they don't even need. People would love to own a sports car. You know, I think most people in the world would love to own a Lamborghini or Ferrari. That's part of their dream. Every time they see one on the road, they're like, wow. That's just already said, that's a dream of yours. But you know what the challenge is? The challenge is you have already come to terms with the belief that it cannot happen. That's why it will never happen. For you to have a dream, that means you have everything inside of you that it takes to achieve that dream. But you've made a compromise with yourself and you've started believing that you will never get that sports car, and that's why you will never get that sports car. The funny thing is, right now as we speak, right now, somewhere in the world, someone is in the showroom of your dream car, about to buy it. The question I ask myself always, which gets me pumped up to say there's no dreams that I cannot achieve, is if someone's going to buy it, why not me? If someone's going to do it, why not me? If someone's going to make 10,000 on day one, why not me? If someone's going to make 100,000 on day one, why not me? Why can it not be you? What were they born with more than me that they can do that and I cannot? It's time to revisit our dreams and put it down on paper and turn it into a goal, because you're never going to achieve a dream. A dream is wishful thinking. A dream is what you would like to have, but you've already accepted that you cannot have it unless you win the lottery. A goal, however, is what you've set down as something to achieve with a deadline, and you're working towards it even when you don't know it, because your subconscious mind is the most powerful tool of everything here. So we need people to reset. We need people to set their goals, what they want to achieve in this industry, what they want to achieve with this project. Because without that, the figure that you just think, oh, I want to make X amount, I want to reach pace setter, I want to reach this generation. That's just thinking. Have you written it down on paper? That's a goal. And I share this because it's important. It's important. If you want to really achieve all the success that you deserve, all the success that you've been believing for years that you deserve, you're going to have to work for it. You're going to have to sacrifice for it. You're going to have to sweat for it. You're going to have to come close to giving up, but not give up numerous times. So you need to decide if you're prepared for that. There's a saying that says, to make and achieve what you've never achieved before, you have to be prepared to do what you've never done before. I'll give you an example. We do a call and we say, we're going to announce the date we're launching. We get 400 people. They just want to know when we're launching. We do a call to train people how to launch their business. Hey, the company launching makes no difference, no impact on what you're about to do or what you're about to earn. You launching your business, you making the sacrifice, you putting in the effort, that has an impact on the check that you see coming in. But yet, today we have half the numbers compared to when we say, hey, we have a call where we're going to announce the date we're launching. Like I said, there are dreamers, there are doers. The doers are here. The dreamers just want to know when it launches because they're hoping for some spillover. They're hoping for some free money. They're waiting for the lottery to buy their dream car. They're waiting for the lottery to make their dreams happen. The doers here, they're here to do. They're here to work, to make things happen. So let's talk to you guys. And if you know anyone in your team who's like you, share the link with them. If you believe your upline who brought you into this business is not here right now, well, you better be texting them right now saying, where are you? Why are you not here? Because if your upline is not here, well, what kind of support you're going to get from them? You need to hold your upline accountable. I tell my people, hold me accountable. And I say it publicly on my Zooms, I am here to work for you. The day you think I'm not, you tell me, you ask me. Because you have every right to hold your upline accountable. So let's move on to when a presentation happened, you're about to do the follow-up and the closing where you encounter objections. Okay, I'm going to take this off the screen now so you guys can see me. And I'm going to put this on the big screen properly. Let's close this for you. Super. Now, this is what I want to share with you. The presentation, it doesn't matter how good or how bad it was from your perspective, because you may have been hearing it 20 times, 50 times, 100 times from different people, and you get on the presentation where maybe the speaker wasn't as good as what you've seen before from your perspective, not from other people's perspective. And now you feel like you're going to do the follow-up. The follow-up means when you're going to call the person after they've watched a presentation. And you're worried about, oh, the presentation wasn't that good today. That's not for you to judge. Here's what I do. Even if I invited someone on a presentation and the presentation went like this. Welcome to this DAISY opportunity. This DAISY stands for Decentralized Artificial Intelligence System, and DAISY is it. Even if the presentation was like this, or even if the presentation was the best you've seen, my follow-up is always exactly the same. Because the person who came to see the presentation for the first time does not know any better. They haven't seen anyone do it better. So for them, that was the best presentation. So here's what I do. When I call someone, let's take another name here. Neville. I see you, Neville. Good to see you on here. Now, I invited Neville to come and see a presentation. It doesn't matter how great or how not great I thought the presentation was. When I call Neville 10, 15 minutes after the presentation finished, the first thing I do is like, hey, Neville, how are you? It was great to have you see the presentation. That was a great presentation, right? Even if I thought it wasn't, because for them, it was the first one. It was the only one. It had to be the best they've seen. And then here is where people make the first mistake. The first mistake is very simple. Is where people are, so did you like the presentation? Are you interested in joining? Would you like to join? When I call Neville and I said, Neville, that was a great presentation, right? Neville said, yeah, it was good. I'm like, Neville, let me ask you this. Have you selected which tier you're looking to get started at? Let me say this again. Neville, that was a great presentation, right? Yes. Neville, have you chosen which tier you're looking to get started at? I'm not asking them if they are interested or not. Because my belief is so high that I believe everyone will say yes. Because if my belief is not that high, I cannot set my goal that high. I have to set my goal in relation to my belief level. I have to. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to share some of the main objections that you can encounter. And then, if I haven't covered an objection that you normally get, you then, when we say so, you put it in the chat and we'll try and cover some of those. But here is where I need you. And I'm saying this again. I need you to make some notes, because there are some things here that I'm telling you, it's the same. Whatever the objection, it's the same process. It's the same process. Well, one other question I asked, some of you may be sitting there saying, well, you know, I won't be able to say, to call them and just to ask them directly, what level, what tier are you getting started at, or you're planning to get started at? Okay, then phone them and say, hey, Neville, that was a great presentation, right? Yes. What did you like best about what you saw today? Some people will love the transparency of D.AI.SY. Others will love the fact that Endotech is an 8 going on to 9 years old company, which has a track history, because many companies out there don't have that. Other people will love the fact that it's a smart contract, it's on the blockchain, nothing can be changed, and everything is transparent. Some people will love the previous results of Endotech, although previous results are not indicative of future results, but that's what they would like. That's what excites them. That's what's going to make them interested. So if you don't feel comfortable asking a direct question about what tier they would like to start at, well, then ask them this. Ask them, Neville, what did you like best about what you saw today? And Neville will tell you. Neville might say, you know what? I love the fact that it's a smart contract. Now, most of us, we are used to knowing the glory of people. Most of you know who are the people who's made the most money in any company. In D.AI.SY. You know who's, but do you know their story? Don't follow the glory, follow the story. Learn the story. The story is more powerful than the glory. You should know. Everyone I speak to, and many will tell you, I like to know their background, their why, their story, because you know what? That's what's going to help me handle objections. That's what's going to help me be able to get those prospects to relate to someone else who had a similar story like them. I'm going to say this again. Learn the story. Don't focus on the glory, but learn the story. You find someone who's successful in D.AI.SY or any company, great. Learn about their story. How did they get there? How long it took them? What was their background before? What did they do to get that success? How much effort they put in? How much sacrifice they put in? What tier they went in at? What did they have to do to get that money? That's the story. Now, let's go dive deeper into the actual objection handling. The first rule of objection handling: always mirror and validate what they say. Always, including the questions that you ask. If you ask someone, what did you like best about what you saw today? If they said, I love the transparency, Say, you know what? You're right. You know what? This is what most people said before they got started. It's true. Name me one person on this call. We've got 240 odd people, I think, on this call right now watching live. Name one person who does not love the transparency here. You see, anything they would say, it will be a part of what everyone loves. That's why we're here. So it's okay to say, validate what they're saying, but at the same time, you're letting their subconscious know that people who say they love the transparency, they also get started into the business. So let me say this again. I keep refreshing my screen because it keeps freezing. I hope the stream is working fine for you guys. You know what? If the stream is working out fine for you, it's not getting interrupted, and you're watching this right now on live, type in live for me in the chat, live. And for any of you who watches this later on the replay, you can just type replay. It'll be good for the stats. Let me say this again. I asked the prospect, what did you like best about what you saw today? Whatever he says, I'm going to mirror and validate that. He said, hey, I love the matrix because of the spillover. Who doesn't? So I would go, you know what? That is what most people say before they get started. That is one of the things that people love the most before they get started. Always validate what your prospect says. Always mirror it and validate. Here's something else. Most people, here's where they go wrong. Objection. The main objections people normally get are time, money, experience, and contacts. Many people say, I don't have the time. I don't have the money. I don't have the people. I don't know the people who would want to do this. I don't have the experience. These are the 4 main objections that we get. Anything else, you'll be able to share, and we'll cover that. We'll cover that. So let's take, the objection, whether it's time, whether it's contacts, whether it's money, whether it's experience, it can always be handled. Always. It is always handled in the same way. Always in the same way. So, for those of you who maybe have had people say they don't have the time, I don't know, you could go and type the question that or the objection you normally get. People say, if I had the time, I would do it. Or, no, I don't have the time for this. I don't know what kind of questions you get. I want to make it a bit interactive. I want to take what you guys get in the field and give you some ammunition for the next time you encounter those. I want to make sure that you guys get the most value from this call. This call is about you, not me. This call is about you. This call is about your team. This call is about your upline, your downline, and your business. Right? Those who are serious are here. I know the time zones is not always the best for everyone. So we understand a lot of people will be watching this. All right, someone's put, I'm too busy. That's time. Great, I'm too busy. All right, let's see what else comes through. And then I'm going to try and merge everything together and answer those for you. Let's have a look if anyone else puts it. I know it's running a little bit behind. All right, we're going to stick with that. I'm too busy. I don't have the time. Now, someone goes to me, I don't have the time, or I'm too busy. I say, you know what? You're right. Most people in life today don't have time. That is, in fact, the same situation with most people before they got started in the business. Are you seeing the trend? Exactly the same thing I explained earlier. Let me say this again. I say, you're totally right. Most people in the world do not have time. Forget time to do a business. They don't even have time for themselves or their family right now. And that was the same with most people in D.AI.SY before they got started. But let me say this to you. Don't you think that is the reason you need to maybe make some sacrifice and find some time so you can change this? Or I like to ask question. Let's take a name. I like to take name. We've got Jose Rosario. Welcome, Jose. Jose goes to me, Avi, I say, what did you like best? Man, I love the spillover on the matrix. I love the transparency. I go, wow, great. That's what most people say before they get started. And then Jose go, but you know what? I don't have the time. So I go, Jose, let me ask you this. What are you doing about that at the moment? I mean, the problem that you're telling me, what are you doing about that at the moment that will give you more time next month or next year for yourself, with your family? You see, I'm getting them to think and realize if they are really prepared to stay in that situation of having no time for the rest of their life. Because most people are doing nothing about it. Most people who say, I don't have the time, they're doing nothing about it. But I'm also letting them know that that is the situation for most people in the world, including the people who ended up joining D.AI.SY. And then I start on my four setup, let's say, right? Here's the thing. Here's what I normally ask. You guys ready for this, right? And trust me, we'll do a demo maybe with some of you, and I would love to hear your feedback after, okay? My first question is, after what I've shared with you so far, hey, Jose, I know you don't have the time for this business, but let me ask you this. If you had the time for this business, how much money would you like to make from this business? If you had the time for this opportunity, how much money would you like to make from this opportunity? Now, most of the time, you will get some ridiculous answers. People say, man, I'd love to make 50K a month. I'd love to make 100K a month. Now, we know that that is possible. But I need to make sure that I keep my prospect in check. I don't want to give them false hope. So if Jose goes to me, right, I'd love to make 100K a month. My answer is, Jose, let me ask you this. Have you ever made 100K a month before? He goes, no. I go, what would be realistically a figure that if you had the time for this business, you would love to make from, you would give your time to make that money? And Jose goes, you know, there's different type of answers. Some people are just looking to make an additional $500 a month, $200 a month. Some are looking to make thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, whatever it may be. Now, I would say to Jose, look, there are people who have made 100K a month, but those people are giving it a lot of time. But you said you don't have time. So what would be a more realistic figure if you had a bit of time that this business would be worth your time? And Jose goes to me, well, you know what? If I could make $2,000 a month, it'd be worth my time. I say, okay, $2,000 a month, we can do that. As a matter of fact, there are several people who didn't have time, but still made some sacrifices and got started in D.AI.SY, who are already made over 2,000 in less than a month. That's true. But how would you know that? If all you know is the glory, not the story, how are you going to know that? Because you have to relate like for like. Now, I can't tell that story about someone who owns a business when I'm talking to someone who works, you know, 2 jobs. I can't give that example to a multimillionaire and use the example of someone who works 3 jobs. You have to know the story. You know, as they say, fact tells, story sells. But story can only sell if you know the stories. But most people only know the glory of people. When you find someone successful, don't just reach out of them to say, hey, I have one of the highest earner on my Facebook. No, reach out to them to learn about their story. how they got there, not where they got to, but how they got there. That is going to be helpful in your journey. Now, getting back to those 4 simple steps, I've asked the first one. My second one is, I say, Jose, I know you don't have the time, but for $2,000 a month, how many hours per week would you have been willing to put into this business to make $2,000 per month? And Jose goes, well, if I had the time to make $2,000 a month, I would love to put like 10 hours a week or 5 hours a week into the business. That's step 2. What do? Again, if I have a story, I relate to the story. Jose, as a matter of fact, I know this lady called, Rochelle, who, like you, didn't have time, was working 2 jobs as a single mom, but guess what? She made some sacrifices. She came in and she's been putting 5 to 7 hours a week. And in less than a month, she's already made over 2,000. Now, guys, don't go and make up these stories. You have to know these stories. And again, that's why I said the only way to know these stories is to talk to more people, not just asking, hey, how much money did you make? Is knowing their story of how they got there is what's powerful. So now let's say, that's the second step. You've asked a question. The second step regarding, first one was how much, if they had the time that they say they don't have, you've already planted a seed letting them know, hey, what are you doing to change that at the moment? What you're currently doing going to change that in the next 6 to 12 months? Right? Next one is, I know you don't have the time, but if you had the time, how much money you need to make from this business for it to be worth your while? Then, how many hours per week you would have been willing to put into the business to make that amount, let's say $2,000 per month. And let's say in this example, he said, you know what, 5 hours per week. And I've given him another story. I've related to someone else. My last question before step 4. My third question is, Jose, let me say this. I know you don't have the time, but how long would you be willing to put 5 to 7 hours a week until you got to 2,000 a month if you had the time? And Jose go, well, I'd be willing to put in the effort for 3 months or 6. If someone says, hey, for 1 week, I don't want ridiculous answers. I don't want to give false hope to my prospects. So I would go, Jose, let me ask you this. Have you ever done something in life for 5 to 7 hours one time and you start making $2,000 every month? He goes, no. I go, let's work on a more realistic figure. Always keep it real. So I'll ask the question again. I mean, like, Jose, for how long would you be willing to put in 5 to 7 hours a week so that you could make $2,000 per month if you had the time? Jose goes, you know what, 3 to 6 months, I would have been prepared to sacrifice that. Why? Because maybe $2,000 replaces his current income, maybe even exceeds his current income. And if he needs to sacrifice for a little bit, if he had the time, right? That's what he would do. Now, these are my 3 powerful questions, no matter what the objection that I've mentioned to you. That means time. I don't have the time. I don't have the money. I don't have the experience. I don't have the contacts. How does it change? Well, if they said money or they said contacts, I would have said, well, how many people do you have on your phone book? How many people do you have on your Facebook? For $2,000 a month, would you be willing to put a list of at least 100 names together? Like, so-and-so did, like Jessica from Mexico, who got started and she put a list of 100 names together and she worked the business for the first 4 days in pre-launch. and she made over $5,000. Again, how would I know that? Story. Story. It doesn't matter what the objection was. Now, I've asked my 3 questions. The 4th step is a summary of what the person told you. So now I ask, before I ask that question, well, let me say it first. I would say, Jose, if I was to work with you, if I was to commit to working with you, would you be willing to make the sacrifice it takes to put aside 5 hours a week? If I was to work with you to show you how you can have 5 hours a week spare, would you be willing to put in 5 hours a week for the next 3 months so you can make $2,000 a month? I guarantee you there's no way to say no. And I'll give you an example. Right? I know most of you don't do this full time. You know, we've got, I don't know, 200 odd people on this call. Most of you don't do this full time. Here's what I want you to do. I hope you have a pen and paper right now. I know most of you have a job or business that you have to attend to put food on the table, to pay the bills. And I want to show you what I've just shared with you works. I want to prove it to you, to every single one of you who's going to be willing to write down a few things and follow this exercise. We're going to do this exercise live. And I want you to give me and be honest, be candid. On the chat after this, I want you to write just yes or no. Okay? Now here's the thing. I want you to write 3 things. I want you to write X. Next to it is how much money you need to make from this project for it to be really worth your time. I want you to write X next to it. I want you, each and every single one of you, to write how much money, let's say, you would need to make so that you could do this full time. I don't know, for some of you, it might be 1,000 a month. Some might be 2,000 a month. Don't put that on the chat. Just write it on your paper. Some of you will be 5,000 a month. Some will be 10,000. Some will be even more, for you to be willing to at least do this full time. On your paper right now, all I want is to write X, because X is the answer to that question. So write the answer to that question. How much money in dollars you need to make a month for you to even consider doing this full time. That's X stands for that. Now, next thing you write is Y, the letter Y. The letter Y represents right now how many hours you're willing to put in right now. Now, I want you to put yourself out of your comfort zone. If you only have 5 hours you can put in a week right now, I want you to write 10. If you have 10 hours you can put in, I want you to write 15. If you have 20 hours, I want you to write 30. If you're already doing this full time, 40 hours, I want you to write 80 hours. Y is the number of hours you actually cannot put into this business right now, but you would have been willing to if you didn't have a job, if you were financially free. But just go a little bit more on actually what you can put in right now. So if you're someone who has a job and no matter what, you can only do 1 hour a day, maximum 7 hours, I want you to put 12 hours. I want you to put 15 hours on there. That stands for Y. Z stands for how many months you'd be willing to put in the hours that you already don't have, because you said 7, I'm telling you to write 15. Z stands for how long, how many months, how many years you'll be willing to put in that time. Now, here's the thing. The higher the amount, the longer the months. Hey, if you're looking to make 1,000 to 2,000, you should be writing 3 to 6 months. Anyone who's looking to make 10 to 50,000, you should be writing a year. Anyone who wants to make 50,000 plus, let's put 18 months or 2 years, okay? That's Z, that stands for Z. Now, I'm gonna explain this exercise and then we're gonna do it live. After you do the exercise live, I then want you to write yes or no in the chat, not now, because I wanna see, because if it works, I know it works. I wanna see if it works for you, even for the number of hours you don't have, possibly even for the money you don't have to get started, right? So here's the exercise. Not yet, I'm explaining it right now and we'll tell you when we do it live. X stands for the amount of money you would like to make from this business. Y stands for the number of hours you would be willing to put in per week to make that money, but right now you do not have that much time. So if you had 20 hours a week, you put 30. If you had 10 a week, you put 15. Z stands for how long. So I'm gonna ask you in a minute to close your eye and I'm gonna ask you a question. But in the question, I'm gonna mention X dollars, I'm gonna say Y hours, and I'm gonna say Z months. Each and every one of you need to remember what you wrote on paper, those three figures you put in, how much money, how much hours, and how many months. When I'm asking you the question, I need you to replace X with the amount, replace Y with the hours, and replace Z with the months. Now, here's the thing. We're about to do this exercise live just for you to understand how this simple 4-step process works. But for that, remember, first of all, you've written down an amount of time per week that you don't have. You've written an amount per month that you probably never made before. And anything you've ever made money from, you probably had to put way more effort than 3 months or 6 months or 12 months or 18 months, right? Now, close your eyes for me and make sure when I say X, you replace it, Y, you replace it, Z, you replace it. So here's my question. You need to close your eyes for this though. If you're not doing it, hey, that's fine. You know, coachable, teachable, and trainable is very important in this industry. Close your eyes and let me ask you this. Whoever you are listening to me right now, who is closing your eyes, who is going to type in an answer of yes or no, I want you to feel the answer that your body gives you, not what your brain gives you. Whatever answer, the first answer you feel that your body wants to say when I ask the question, that's what I want you to type in the chat in a minute. So let me ask you this, to each and every one of you. If I could put in the work to show you, if we can go through your schedule and break down your schedule and I could work with you and show you how you can have the time that you need, would you be willing to be able to make X amount of dollars? Would you be willing to put in Y amount of hours per week for the next Z amount of months? Let me say this again. Put your figures in there. To be able to make X amount of money, as you've just written on your paper, would you be willing to sacrifice and put in Y amount of hours over the next Z amount of months? So my example, here you go. My example is 1 million per month. For example, 80 hours a week for the next 2 years. So my question then is, Avi, to make 1 million per month, are you willing to sacrifice and put in 80 hours per week over the next 24 months? Now, I want you to feel the answer that your body gives you and type it in the chat. And I can assure you, I know the answer, unless you did not follow the exercise live properly, unless you didn't close your eyes, unless you didn't replace the X, Y, and Z instantly the way it should be done. You see, I'm waiting for some answers to come in before I give you a bit more. right? When you take the answer, the willingness of someone, what they want to make, how many hours they'll be willing to put in for that, and for how long they'll be able to put in those hours per month or per week for that. Even if they want to say no, their body's saying yes, because you're talking to their subconscious mind. You're talking to their dream. You're talking to their goals. You're talking to what they want and don't have. You're talking to what they've been looking. Because that's what it takes for someone to be able to open up and realize, yes, if I keep doing what I've been doing over the last 5 years and not get anywhere closer to my dream, I need to do something different. You know, I'm saying yes, yes, yes. And just be honest. If anyone was no, just put in no, you know. But I can assure you, if you did the exercise and you did it correctly, it's going to be a yes. So that is my 4-step of objection handling. Any objection, especially when we talk about time, money, contacts, experience. I always accept, mirror, and validate what they say. And I relate it to a story of someone else that I know that had the similar kind of situation. And then I use a series of questions to handle the objection. And always at the end, it's always those same 3 questions and the last main question with the 3 answers they've given. And when they say yes, like you are saying to this question, I say, well, let's say, Robert, for 2K a month, would you be willing to be coachable, teachable, and trainable? Because I want to make sure they're not going to go back on their words and just start, you know, not putting in the effort, because then I'm making the commitment of working with them. I'm making the commitment of working with them. So I have to make sure that they are going to be coachable, teachable, and trainable. And then guess what my next question is? Now that we've created a way for you to move forward, which tier would you like to get started at? Which tier would you like to get started at? Now, that's how I handle objection. So what we would like to do now is go ahead and in the chat, put in the challenges that you've been encountering. And I'm going to pick up from there, from the chat, and I'm just going to go through them. And I saw a couple. I saw one that says, hey, I think, what was it? I need to go. Well, just put your question. Just put the challenges, the objections that you get. Put the objections that you get, and we're going to go and make sure we give you some help, some background on how to handle those objections. Okay. One more thing I would love for you guys to do. Like I said, everyone here has prospects, has team, has people in the business. Make sure you're sharing the link with them. If you find value so far in this call, make sure you're getting your upline and your downline onto this call right now. As I'm waiting, because YouTube runs about 15, 20 seconds behind, so I'm waiting for the questions to drop. Make sure you're sharing the link to all the people in your team. You should be making sure your team is on right now. If you find value, they'll find value. Right. I'm seeing loads of questions. I'm going to pick some of those. You know, I don't have this much money. Okay. Well, I believe that D.AI.SY has created a structure where it's accessible for almost anyone. But Jagannath, I will take this question as a generic without taking the fact that, okay, we have $100 entry. That is a very, very common objection in any network marketing space. People often say, I don't have the money, just like they say they don't have the time, right? So I normally say to people, I'm like, let's say, Jagannath, let's say that was you. I'm going to call you Jag if you don't mind. My prospect's name is Jag. He's seen the business. I've done the follow-up. And he says to me, and I love it, but I just don't have the money. I just really don't have the money. Here's what I'll do. Again, I asked a question. I didn't explain why earlier, but I'm going to explain to you now why. When they give you an objection, always make sure it's a genuine objection. They're not just saying that to get rid of you, because what you don't want to do is you don't want to waste your time either. So if someone says, I don't have the money, here's what I say. So I say, Jag, that is what many people said before they got started in the business. For example, I know this lady called Andrea, who really didn't have the money to get started, but she did what she had to because she knew that this could be very impactful to her. But let me ask you this, Jag. If I understand this correctly, money is the reason you cannot get started. But if you had the money, there will be nothing else stopping you from getting started. And Jag says, yes. If he said, no, but even if I had the money, I wouldn't. I'm not going to waste my time. I'm not going to waste my time. My time is too precious. So is yours. But Jag, if I asked you this question, I repeat it. So if I understand this correctly, Jag, money or the shortage of it is the reason you cannot get started. If you had the money, there'd be nothing else stopping you to get started. Is that correct? Jag says, yes. You know what I just did? I just made sure after I handle the objection, which I will, there's no other excuses that comes up. Because what you don't want to do is you don't want to go and handle the objection. They have an objection, you handle it, and at the end, they give you a second objection. At the end, they give you a third objection. So I'm making sure, done. Now, I've related to a story. I would very often give a little something else before I go into my 4-step. And here's what I would say. I said, Jag, let me ask you this. Let's say, for example, the minimum entry was $1,000, just giving you a general training. I'll say, Jag, let me ask you this. Let me take an example. If I pull up my car keys, my car, which is worth, I'm just using hypothetical example, by the way, $20,000. Jag, if I said to you, I need to get to the airport in the next 12 hours, I'm leaving the country for good. I haven't had the time to sell my car. I'm willing to give it to someone. I'd rather it be you for just $1,000. It's worth $20,000. But the thing is, just so you know, there's a restriction on it for the next 12 months, for the next 6 months, you can't sell it. How many people do you think will say no to that? They're about to get a $20,000 car, keys in hand right now for $1,000. Do you agree they're going to find the money? They'll find the money. So I give them the example. I say, would you do what it takes to find the $1,000? He goes, yes. I go, you see, that tells me that you haven't understood the power of D.AI.SY. Because for just $20,000 that you can't have for the next 6 months, you'll be willing to find $1,000. But in a business where people have made way more than 20,000 their first 4 days, for example, like this person who, like you, didn't really have much money to get started. So they started small and they made some money and they upgraded and eventually they made like 20,000 the first 4 days. Again, how would you know that? By knowing the story. So now I've given him a check, something to think of. What do I do next? My 4 steps. Jag, let me ask you this. I know you don't have the money, but if you had the money, how much would you need to see yourself make from this project for it to be worth you putting your money into this project? Jag goes, let's take an example, $5,000 a month. Okay, and Jag, again, I know you don't have the money, but for $5,000 a month, how many hours per week would you have been willing to put into this business? He goes, 10 hours a week. I go, okay, great. And Jack, one last question. Again, I know you don't have the money, but if you had the money, for how long would you have been willing to put in 10 hours a week so you can get to $5,000 a month? And he goes, hey, 9 months. I go, Jack, let me ask you this. For $5,000 a month, would you be willing to put together a list of 100 names? Now it's like, I'm already preparing him for what he needs to do next. And in his subconscious mind, he's like, what? 100 names on the list gets me $5,000 a month? No, it doesn't. But I've said, to make that kind of money, are you willing to do that? I'm also checking if he's coachable, teachable, and trainable. He says, yes. I said, let me ask you this last question, Jack. If I could work with you and put in the time to work with you and show you how you can put 10 hours a week over the next 6 or 9 months so that you can get to the level of making $5,000 or more a month, would you be willing to find a way to come up with the money? Would you be willing to sit with me and we get creative on how you can come up with the money? Again, as the exercise we just did, you all know the answer to that. The answer is always yes, 90%. If ever someone says no to you, they're going against their system and forcefully saying no, and that's okay. They're not for your business. They're never going to be productive in your business. That's how you handle the objection. Again, exactly the same thing. Let's have a look. What else we've got? What other question? Someone who can't recruit people. I'm seeing a few of this here. I don't know or have anyone to refer. I don't have, I'm seeing quite a lot of this. Again, this is saying, I don't have the contacts. I don't have the people, right? My question again is the same. In fact, I covered part of it just now. I mean, let me ask you this. How many people's phone numbers you have in your phone at the moment? Okay. I normally, again, like I said, I like to give people something to think of. So I like to ask an abstract question first. So let's take another name. We've got Tina. Tina Carson is here, right? Let's say Tina is my prospect. Tina goes, I don't know anyone who I can bring to this business. I don't have a big contact list. I don't have people who invest. Oh, whatever it may be. The first thing I say, you know what, Tina, forget the business for a minute. Tina, let me ask you this. If ever you won, let's say a raffle draw, you won a prize where they said for your next birthday, you can have that birthday anywhere you want, in any 5-star, and you can invite as many people as you want. How many people would you want to invite? If you could have your dream birthday as a raffle draw winning prize, all paid for, anywhere, in any resort you wanted, how many people do you think you'd want to have there? If right now you have to give an answer, but you can't, if you say 50, you can never invite more than 50 after that. Guess what? Tina says 30, 20, 50, 100. Because we all got our friends, family, neighbors, uni friends, drinking friends, eating friends, whatever you call it, right? Now, I've just given them some food for thought because they said they don't have any contacts. Next, I handle the objection. So here's my objection handling. I'm going to do this one and we'll stop and I'll check if there's anything else different because we're repeating the same thing, but repetition is good. Repetition is what helps people to learn. So I would say, hey, what was it, Tina, right? Tina. I'm like, Tina, I know you don't have the contact list, but let me ask you this. If you did have the contact list, what would you need to make from this project for it to be worth your time? And Tina goes, I would like to make, I don't know, $3,000. I said, great. I say, again, I know, Tina, you don't have the people, you don't have the list of people, but if you did how many hours per week would you be willing to put in so you can make $3,000 a month? Tina goes, man, I'd be willing to put 25 hours a week. Wow, that's amazing, Tina. You know, just like I know this person who they really say they didn't have anyone, and then they got started. We got creative. We're helping them really think outside the box. They found the people, and you know, they put in about 25 hours a week like you. And in the first 2 weeks of working, 4 weeks of working, 4 days of working, well, they made over 3,000. Story. And then, as usual, the next question. Again, Tina Carson, I know you don't know anyone who would be interested. You don't have the list of people. But to make $3,000 a month from this business, for how long would you have been willing to put 25 hours a week? And Tina goes, 6 months. I go, great. I go, let me ask you this. If I could sit with you and work with you to show you how, whether from your existing list that you're not thinking outside of the box or creating cold prospect, how you could put in 25 hours a week over the next 6 months to potentially make $3,000 a month. To make that $3,000 a month, would you be willing to sit with me and think outside the box and put 50 names together or 100 names together, just like Andre done, just like Rochelle done? Same question. Same way to handle the objection. There is no different way. It's always exactly the same. Always exactly the same. So let's take a look. I just want to take a look and make sure if there's any question that specifically we could do. All right. I'm seeing a few questions. We're not going to go through the same step, but I want to throw some answers to some of these questions. Companies don't give out this type of money and last. Remember, agree, always agree. You know what people do a lot of time? Someone says, hey, company don't do that and last. And you start arguing them. What do you mean? No, I mean, D.AI.SY guaranteed is. No, don't argue with them. Agree because it's a fact. You say, yes, you're right. You're right. As a matter of fact, I thought exactly the same before I got started, which is true for me. For those of you who come on my webinars, my presentation, you know. I thought exactly the same. If not me, I need to make sure I have a story of someone who thought like that, but they joined and why they joined. And here's what I do. Tina, that's to you again, because your question. Someone says to me, well, companies don't give out this type of money and last. I say, you're very right, Tina. As a matter of fact, I thought exactly the same. But when I compared, a lot of things was different. Let me ask you this. Give me a couple of names of companies that you know that was similar, that paid this type of money and did not last. And they may give me some XYZ name. And I said, let me ask you this. When you saw the company for the first time, that company that you just mentioned, how long had they existed for? Had they had 8 years of registered existence like Endotech? What's the answer? No. Oh, okay. Let me ask you the next question, Tina. That company that you just mentioned, were you able to verify their trade for the last 4 or 5 years at least? Not on a spreadsheet, but real trading results. Were you able to verify that? No. Okay. And that company, when they paid people, was it like D.AI.SY where, you know, instantly you can receive the rewards into your wallet? Or was it just a fictitious number on the screen that one day just disappeared or they just shut down the website? And you could go on like 5, 10 questions. And after those, no, 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 no. And you say, can you see how this is different? And can you see why Susanna, who thought exactly like you, after really comparing, realized that this is very different. And she got started. And after getting started, she done this, 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 and was able to have this, this, this success. So are you following the trend, Tina? Let me know if this answers your question. If this is helpful for you on the chat, let me know. It will be great to know. I don't have the money. We've answered that. I don't have the money to do high tier. O'Day, Prince, you can always use the same objection handling to see whether they really don't have the money or they're just testing the waters. But it's up to them where they start with. I normally don't like to push people to go for higher. Daisy's a fraud. Don't trust it. That's the answer you get from some people. I think we've just answered that with the way of showing how it's different, because there's always a reason. It's always what people have had experience before is what makes them think like that. You see, as we grow up, we learn things. We hear things, and that gets implanted in our subconscious mind, and we start creating limitations for ourselves. What we do is we lose the baby mentality in us. You want to know the secret to my success? You want to know the secret that can change your level of success? Bring back the baby mentality in you. Some of you sitting there, I know, thinking, what? Baby mentality? How can a baby have more success than what I am now? Trust me, the baby in you, the baby mentality in you will crush any business, let alone this business. Here's why. Have you ever seen a baby give up? Have you ever seen a baby give up? Have you ever seen a baby try to walk for the first time when they crawl and they give up? They fall and they fall and they fall and they fall flat on their bum. They even cry. 5 minutes later, they try again. 5 minutes later, they try again. Same with riding a bike. Same with anything. But a lot of people, as we grow up, as we become adults, we hear things that gets implanted in our subconscious mind and start creating limitation within ourselves. And we start believing we can't. We fail once, we start believing it's not possible. We have one bad experience, we think we can never have a good experience. We lose money once, we think we can never make money. That's because people don't realize failing is learning. Fail means first attempt in learning. We learn. The only people who make money in any industry is the people who's constantly learning, constantly growing. That is incredibly important. You want to have the most success, as much as you can bring back the baby mentality in you. Easier said than done. Because we've been so brainwashed by society, by what we hear around us, thinking that 95% of things cannot be done. I wish we were live right now, face to face, because I would, if we were, I would have done an exercise to show you that in the 2 minutes, what you 100,000,000% believe is not possible. You've already reached your 100% in something. I show you within 2 minutes. In fact, as a matter of 30 seconds, I'll show you can do more than that instantly. And we'll hold that one day for one of our events. I'm sure we'll be seeing you guys live, you know, once travel restrictions are lifted. We're going to be traveling. We're going to be coming to see all of you. So let's take a look before we bring this. We've been on much longer than we were planning to. It was supposed to be 1 hour. We've been 1 hour and 20 minutes. Let's take a look. Onu asked a question which is nothing to do with objection handling, but I will answer it. Yes, Onu, you will be automatically debited in USDT from your Tron wallet during registration. You don't physically have to transact and send those. People have seen other businesses not bear fruits. I believe we've covered that. Family negativity. I love this one. I love this one. And we're gonna end with this. This will be the last one. And here, look, guys, if you get value of this call, I'm saying this again, make sure you get this value across to your team, to your people. Make sure you get them onto this call. You share the link for them to watch this afterwards. Subscribe, like, put a, well, you can't comment on the live, but make sure you like and subscribe this so we can get this out to more people. Now, you know, with family, it's a little bit tricky. It is a little bit tricky for me, from my perspective. And I don't like to do too much objection handling with people, with family, but I do it anyway. But here's something I want to share with you. You know, when I started in network marketing, I nearly gave up. The first time I did network marketing, I nearly gave up. Not because I had any bad experience or lost money or anything like that. It's just that in the first 4 months, I had 0 people in my team. No one had purchased our products or services. Zero income. 4 months. And it wasn't the fact, hey, you shouldn't expect success within 4 months. But it wasn't even that. It's the fact that I've always excelled in life. I've always been so competitive. I was started to beat myself about it. But the main challenge that had that weight on me was because of family. Here's what I thought, and I'm sure most people on this call believe the same thing. The minute you decided you're going to do this business, you thought, you know what? I'm going to have my brother, my sister, my auntie, my cousin, my neighbor, my family members are going to be with me. And let me explain to you how the tug of war of network marketing works. You all know the game tug of war, right? Anyone who doesn't know, when you have 2 groups of people pulling a rope from 2 opposite sides to see who wins. Now, when I started in network marketing, I'm telling you, I was a soldier. I went to war. I was ready to create the biggest success this industry has ever seen. I thought so. So I thought I'm going to grab that rope, that tug of war, against the fact that I don't have the experience, against the fact that I'm new to this industry, against the fact that many people do not have success instantly. I said, I'm going to change it. I started pulling, tugging, pulling on that rope. What I expected was, as I start pulling, what I mean is doing the work, talking to the family members first. I expected that soon the family members are going to be behind me on my team, pulling on that rope together with me, and we're going to win together. I very quickly learned that the more I was pulling, the harder it was getting. You know why? Because I started seeing more and more of my family members pulling on the rope on the opposite side. Because they're abnormal. Let me explain. You see, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, it was abnormal if you see someone staying at home doing what they want when they want. You call them unemployed. You call them living on benefits. You call them lazy. And we were all brainwashed to think exactly the same. So when you become the first to break out of that brainwash and you start thinking about living your dreams, when you start talking about making the kind of money people around you, people in your family has never made before, they start seeing you as abnormal, but they don't realize they're living in an era where what they do, exchanging 40 hours of their time to just put food on the table and pay for the bills, is nowadays abnormal. But because you were the first to break out, people see you as abnormal. It's going to take time. And I share this with you because I want you to be prepared. You should go and do your objection handling the same way, but just be prepared that the answer might still be no, because there's external factors Some family members will say no because they're worried they'll help you succeed. You know, there's different types, but the point is you should do your objection handling, but be prepared that very often the family members are tugging on the rope on the opposite side. They'll be the first to say to you, nah, it's a scam. No, I don't have the money. No, you shouldn't do this. You should go and find a job. You should go and find a job because they want you to be job just over broke. That's if you're lucky. The system is designed. The system is designed for people to work all their life. The system is designed for you to finish education in debt. The system is designed for you to retire with your mortgage not paid. Because that's how the system makes money. That's how the banks makes money. That's how the government makes money. But when you break out of that, everyone who's so brainwashed and can't see beyond that, they see you as abnormal. I just want you to know, you're the normal one. You're the normal one. For trying to bring back that baby mentality in you, you are the normal one. Hey, if you put a baby on the window latch, on the ground floor, you say jump, you're going to catch them, they jump. You put them on the first floor, they jump. You know, that's a winning mentality. You've got to be prepared to do what it takes, not just your best, to do what it takes for you to be really able to achieve what you want. Because remember, we have to reach out for what is almost unreachable. So that even if you miss that, you go way beyond what you could have been able to do, or what you believe you were able to do. Okay, so I don't want to go on for ages and ages and ages. I want to say a massive, massive thank you to everyone here, to the moderators. I'm not going to mention name. I don't want to forget anyone on the chat. To Flav here on being here with me on the Zoom, just to make sure that can see me, can hear me, and also in case my internet dropped, there'll be someone who's still on the call who can add me back. So I want to say a massive thank you, and I want you, in one word or in one phrase, let me know if you got value out of this. This was technically the first Learn and Earn or Learn to Earn series, but we did one call on the inviting before. So just let us know the value that you got from this, because we would love to get your feedback. We would love to improve. We would love to be able to prepare and give you even more value. But I hope if you got value, you make sure that you get this to everyone in your team to ensure that they get the same value. Because what we're looking to do is to create the biggest momentum ever seen in the next 48 hours or so, less than 48 hours left now. So just let us know. Would love to hear your feedback. We want to say thank you to everyone. We saw some of you jumping in at odd hours, from different time zones. So that's incredible. I will share one last thing. I'm going to make it a must. I like to grow. I like to learn. I said, so I have to do it. I'm going to put myself out of my comfort zone. And for the next time we do one of these, we're going to have full slides presentation. I like to speak from the heart. That's why I don't do slides. But I'm going to have some points to make it even easier for you guys to follow, even easier for everyone to take notes, right? So thank you very much. Have a blessed day. I'm seeing the messages come in. Thank you very much. You guys are very, very motivating. I mean, it's you guys that gives me the energy, the motivation, the passion to come on and do these calls. For those of you who's known me a few years, I'm an introvert by nature. I don't like to be on camera. If you put me in a party with people I don't know, I take my phone, even if there's no messages, I act as if on my phone, I'm in the corner on my own. That's me. But you guys inspire me. You motivate me. So that's why I'm here. So thank you very, very much to everyone. Let's go and let's wake up everyone who's been on the fence, everyone who's been waiting, who's got cold feet. Let's wake them up. and let's go and get some new people and let's rock this. So good day, good afternoon, good evening to you all, and we'll see you all very soon on our next call.